Hello, welcome back to my latest painting video. The prompt for this character is a pirate druid. It's another commission piece that was given to him as a gift from his work at Netherworld in Brisbane, and they hang it up in the Hall of Fame out the back. This is painted on wood panel and it's painted with acrylic. And I decided to have my work set up in the lounge room for a change, just because I didn't feel like being cooped up in my painting room. So don't mind the weird kind of lighting, because the lighting does change quite a lot over the days that I was painting this. Yeah, we've had a lot of rainy days in Queensland. So when I'm creating these acrylic paintings, the main technique I do is just put lots and lots of really thin layers of acrylic wash, and then I'll add another layer and then another layer, and I let them dry in between, and so it starts to create a really blended effect. And then more towards the end is when I'll add the really dark shadows and the more vibrant colors, so that I make sure that they go through. But at this point in the painting, it's like a mix of that and getting all my shaping right. You can see I had to adjust the eye just there because I realized that the eyes were a little bit wonky and not quite aligned. So I took a quick break for lunch while working on this painting, and I've been sitting here looking at it, and I noticed a few things that were wrong. So I'm obviously going to go in and fix them, but I've made myself this little note that it's so I don't forget, because when there's so many things to fix, I'll go in and fix a few of them and then kind of forget about the others, and then I won't realize till the very end. So I've made this little note that I can just sit at the bottom of my easel and keep an eye on. So I noticed that his teeth are kind of protruding out on an angle where I want them to look a little bit more straight. I've started to fix his nostrils. That's why it's wet a little bit. I kind of just had to reshape his whole nose. I started to round his eyes out so they were looking a little bit narrow and squinty. Yeah, the bigger bump, which is to do with his nose bridge as well, and the background. So I think I've added some texture to get some idea of some trees in the background, but I want to flatten it a little bit and make it look a little bit more blurry, as if it's focused more on his face. And then the other things, which I don't think I need to write down because this is just like the general composition of the painting, is to probably add some color, some brighter pinks and purples into his skin tone and his face, but that'll most likely come last in the form of like washes over the top, I think, when I bring it all together. But yeah, that's where we're at. I did start to add some of the more vibrant pinks and reds around the areas of the face where there would be more transparent skin. So your skin's thinner around your eyes, your nose, your lips, and your ears, and those are usually the places that look a little bit more reddish toned, which is usually just a good way to bring life to the painting and make it look, yeah, more alive. Here is where the painting's at the moment. I realized after adding a lot of like details into the mouth that it's wonky. The mouth is facing this way and the rest of his face is facing like that way. So my bad. This is what happens as an artist, especially if you look at a painting for too long. So today with my session, I'm probably going to go over the mouth, like we're going to paint over that, start again, line it up properly with like the middle of his face, yeah, and do it properly, because otherwise that's just going to annoy me forever. It looks really weird and wonky and bad. And then hopefully I might be able to finally start adding like the details of like his nostrils and his eyes, and I'm going to fix up the background and flatten it out a bit. And then I can, yeah, go in with details, like properly go in. Hopefully that means all the shapes should be pretty well set up. We'll see. Very good. Now the technique I'm using here is it's using a really dark, like reddish brown color to get in those really dark shadowy parts of the painting and add details. And what I'll do is I'll go in with a wet brush, which creates the line, and then I'll swap to another brush which I have in my hand, which is the one with the blue handle, and this one is just dry, and I just use it to kind of like push the paint around and sort of blend it out and make it a little bit less harsh, so the lines become just a bit softer. Yeah, because I'm not, this painting isn't going to have like heavy line work on it. It's more of a sort of like realistic lighting scenario. So I use this technique all the time where I'll do the harsh line and then I blend it out while it's still wet. You do have to work really, really quickly because acrylic starts to dry within like maybe like 20 seconds. So yeah, it's a very like quick process and you just have to do it as you go. Also, I use this technique for the rest of the details on his face, including like the eyes, the nostrils, the teeth, the eyebrows, and the beard. But you will see that my last bit of footage where I started to add in the eyebrows and the beard, it got corrupt, and so I can't use it, unfortunately. So there is a bit of a like skip at the end, but it was basically using this exact technique and just going over the rest of the face to get those details established. Now, even though you will see a bit of a time jump here, mostly all I did was I brought out the yellow tones and softened the edges and added the beard and the eyebrows, because trust me, that changes a lot in a person's face when you add eyebrows if they don't have them, or a beard or facial hair. So yeah, this is the finished product, and thank you for watching.